Welcome everybody to a very special episode of the NXT party. I'm of course your host Stefan Osborne, the Rated R reviewer, joined as always by the General Jerry Slaughter.
Good evening, wrestling fans.
Tonight is a very special episode, and we have probably the most special guest that we've had on the Tea Party since the inception. We have the king of no DQ himself, Aaron Rift. How are you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing well, but what's up with all these new nicknames? I'm now the king of no DQ, and what's your new nickname?
Well, that's just on the NXT party. Everybody's got like a British
Britishy kind of thing. Yeah. So yes.
I thought you were the wizard. So where did this clear corporate?
Mm-hmm.
When did this clear corporate?
Oh boy.
I don't know. I'm the Rated R reviewer because I'm always dropping F-bombs and shit.
Well, there goes the monetization for this video.
Do they still get monetized? I figured.
By the way, we're taking simultaneous sips of our drink. Very nice.
I figured since I still got commercials that they didn't care about me dropping F-bombs. They don't care about JD from New York dropping F-bombs. I'm sure he still gets monetized too, so. Yeah, this is the Rated R program, so if you want to drop an F-bomb or two without needing a super chat to do so, which, by the way, I'm going to hold you to my super chat when we get to the end of the episode. I remember that.
That is absolutely fabulous.
Okay. Well, I wanted to preface, before we get into reviewing the actual matches, did you like this show? I know you don't keep up with the product, Aaron, but, I mean, it is a pay-per-view, so it should be a culmination of a lot of feuds and a lot of storytelling. And I think they did a really good job with the promo packages before each of the matches. Did they manage to get you, a casual NXT UK fan, the first time to the product watching the pay-per-view? Did they get you interested in the product?
Well, I did enjoy the pay-per-view. I was entertained throughout pretty much the entire thing. So, yeah, I did enjoy it. Will I be watching the weekly shows? Probably not, but I definitely recommend checking out the show to anybody out there.
Well, would you? Are you going to watch the next NXT UK takeover?
Sure, absolutely.
Well, there you go. So I think they did a really good job of telling all of the stories as best they could in a minute or two video package for the people that this is probably the first time that they're tuning in. So
absolutely,
I want to shout out to the video recap guys. So first on the card, we actually get the inaugural NXT UK Tag Team Championship match, and I'm actually quite surprised. I figured we were going to get Travis Banks versus
Jordan Devlin.
Jordan Devlin, there you go.
Yeah.
And that did not happen. Come to find out, it's probably good that wasn't at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. But
we'll get into that later. What did you think about this match, Aaron?
I thought it was a great match, and it was given a lot of time. I think it was... I'm not sure the exact time, but it was lengthy. It was a good 25 minutes or so.
I was going to say, it was somewhere between 25 minutes and a half hour, and it just didn't stop. It kept on going. It was a beautiful, beautiful tag match.
Not a lot of rest holds, not a lot of time spent down on the mat. Of course, you got four guys, so there shouldn't be.
It was very well paced. I mean, it did start off slow, and then they quickly got into all the high intense sequences towards the end, and I have to say, Tyler Bate is really impressive. Like, he stood out to me.
He steals the match anytime Mustache Mountain is in a match. Like Trent Seven, subpar in my opinion, but like with God,
Tyler Bate finds a way in every match, as far as I can tell, to show off his strength, his killer thighs.
Yes.
Right? So we get a lot of matches where he does that power slam with a power bomb with two guys in his arms that he drops. In this case, his superpower move was he stacks them up and picks both these guys up for an airplane spin. Doesn't get more than like 5 or 10 seconds with both of them, but enough to make his point.
Is it enough to scream, what?
Yeah, and he's in his early 20s, and who knows how good that guy's going to get when it's all said and done. At his age, he's already great, and give him 5-10 years. I mean, he's going to be the man unless he gets seriously hurt or he loses his passion for wrestling. That guy is going to be a major star for many years. I mean, he's already got what it takes to be on the main stage, you know?
Well, absolutely. He was the first UK champion as well. And that's what kind of that was your reason, Stefan, for him not wanting
the Mustache Mountain to win the inaugural tag team champions too. He didn't need them both. That's just my thing. Like,
yeah.
He got to be the first NXT UK champion. Doesn't need to be the first in both divisions. Plus, Mustache Mountain was the team going into the entire show. The whole NXT UK brand. The only team. They had a name. Everything else. Everybody else was put together. And the Grizzled Young Veterans, granted, now sort of had a name, even though when they came out, they didn't get announced as the Grizzled Young Veterans. It was Zach Gibson and James Drake.
Yeah. I think they'll start playing that name after a while, though, especially now.
So it was just way too predictable for Mustache Mountain to get this win. And the end of this match, I would by the end of it, I was practically on my feet. I was enjoying the shit out of this. So many high spots in a row. And we will get to that. There's a couple things I want to break down in here. Because Gibson and Drake, again, look like a well-oiled tag team.
Yes.
Their tights match. They look good. Mustache Mountain, probably for the first time since I've started watching them, they actually had very matching tag team tights.
It was a nod to the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid.
And that's one of the spots I want to mention. They do their finishing move. We had a power slam into a
diving headbutt
off the top rope. I believe they only got a near fall, or maybe it was broken up, but
it was a near fall.
Any spots you want to mention?
God, most of the stuff happened towards the end for me, especially with the James Drake just out of nowhere the 450 splash. Like the 450, we hadn't really seen anything out of James Drake, except for Grit Your Teeth, which is just that sick drop kick to corner. But for him to pull off that 450, that was something really special.
Out of nowhere. Yeah, we got the Helter Skelter by Gibson, and then right off of that, we got a 450 splash for a near fall, and it was a very beautiful 450 splash at that.
Yeah.
So obviously he's practiced. Wish I'd known he could do stuff like that. I've been kind of putting the offensive part of this team onto Gibson, whereas Drake seems to be one that takes all of the offense and still manages to kick out. He's extremely resilient, as showcased in this match as well.
Aaron, I don't know if you noticed, but the crowd doesn't like Zach Gibson.
Okay, so I was watching this, and this is my first time watching the NXT UK since I believe that first show they did.
Yeah.
When was it? I'm not even sure how far back it was, but anyways, I was confused as to what the crowd was chanting. I was not able to really make heads or tails of it.
The good
Something
one,
about shoes.
The good one is, if you hate Gibson, shoes up. It's either shoes up or shoes off. Either way, they hold a shoe up.
Yeah, it's just them announcing how badly they hate him by show of hands or a show of shoes in that manner, like who hates Zach Gibson. And
I do want to go on a little rant here. I mean, I did enjoy the crowd's passion for the show, but I felt like at times they were borderline overly obnoxious to the point where it was actually irritating me to have the sound on my TV.
They can get that way with a Zach Gibson match. For most of the other matches, they were pretty okay. It's pretty much just to be behind something or a spot or a move, or you get your inevitable holy shits and NXT and those kind of chants. Usually where appropriate. But in a Zach Gibson match, they really do take over. But what you don't know is it's not just his matches, his promos. He can be in the back on the screen, on the Tron, giving a promo, and you can hear, it's almost like The Rock, where The Rock would stop and say, the millions, and then you'd hear them in the arena somewhere off in the distance yelling out, the millions. Well, you can hear them in the arena booing him and doing the, if you hate Zach Gibson, shoes off. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I don't know what he did before this to garner so much hate out of the UK, but he gets it in spades.
I'm guessing Progress and then his run in the UK tournament just got him a whole bunch of heat. So.
As I always say, the crowd treats him like they hate him for who he is. So the ending of this match, we get Tyler Bate getting taken out. There's a stack up on the outside, like for a Tower of Doom.
Oh, that was just brilliant.
And Drake suicide dives to the outside into like a spear onto him, knocks him off. He does a full flip, lands. He's done for the match. And like I said, this is the end of the match. We get back inside, and we've got Trent Seven goes for a suicide dive, because they're still out there, and Drake does a drop kick to the side of him on his way out after leaving the ring. Drops him there. They throw him back in the ring, and we get finally a name for this as a tag team finisher, the Ticket to Mayhem.
Yep.
Which, as I've said, is tombstone setup thrown up into a double. Well, it's a Ticket to Ride, but it's a double code breaker.
Yeah.
Essentially, lung blower.
Yep.
And the Mayhem, eh?
Do what now?
The Mayhem, eh?
The Mayhem. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Well, the Ticket to Mayhem.
Ticket to Mayhem.
What'd you think about the finisher, and what'd you think about this match, Aaron?
No, I loved it. I thought it was great, and I highly recommend this match to anybody out there. You know, if you're not going to watch the whole pay-per-view, at least watch the tag match, and probably the main event as well, but we'll get to that here in a few minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So up next, we get a video recap from earlier in the day. This is where Travis Banks arrives to the arena. It's got all his stuff, and Jordan Devlin attacks him. Boom, right there.
Yeah.
At some point, he throws him into the wall and injures his left knee, and several people, I guess officials, why they're in the lobby of some hotel, who the fuck knows. But some officials break him up, and that's the end of the recap. But obviously, we know this is going to play into the match ahead.
Yeah.
Don't actually get a match.
No.
We've got Travis Banks comes out and gets in the ring. Jordan Devlin comes out, and before he can make it into the ring and the match can start, Travis Banks suicide dives him on the outside, and that starts a brawl. No match yet. Brawling on the outside. Jordan Devlin takes advantage of a few spots and then starts working over Travis Banks' leg on the steps. Blah, blah, blah. Now we've got medical staff.
Yeah. Medical staff and Sid Scala appear, and pretty much Devlin says, okay, so I'm not having a match now, so more interview time for me. And just starts flapping his gums, more or less.
Because this has been kind of his habit. At the end of a relatively short match, he'll just grab a mic and do a promo. In this case, instead, we have Scala, who announces they saw this coming. Okay, I want to mention what he says. He says because of the attack that Devlin executed on Banks earlier at the hotel, they figured that he would do something like this. And I'm like, what the hell did he do? Because he was coming to the match to the ring for the match, and Banks did the suicide dive.
Yeah.
Banks started the fight before the bell. Like, they saw that coming. But anyway, to the high spot here, the replacement for Travis Banks is fucking amazing. What'd you think about Balor, Aaron?
Well, that was a nice surprise. I think it was definitely the right move to have him show up. The crowd went nuts, and it was a cool little buzz to this show. You know, people were talking about it on social media, and it got people wondering, oh, this sounds interesting, maybe I should check out the show. So I thought it was a great idea to have him show up here as a surprise, and I guess they have history together.
Well, Finn Balor basically trained Jordan Devlin.
Yep.
So, but this guy, Jerry, has been fan promoting or fan booking this.
Yes.
For a few months now, saying how somewhere down the line we need to have Finn Balor come in and take on Jordan Devlin, and we get it at the very first pay-per-view. What'd you think about this, Jerry?
I was stunned like everybody else, but then I turned to a kid in a candy store, and I just kind of moved to the edge of my seat, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. Because, yeah, like, it was pretty much your whole student versus the teacher, like, dynamic to it. And we saw a lot of that back and forth and everything because they know each other so well. But at the same time, like, Balor took a lot of punishment from Devlin in this. But at the same time, I'm glad that Balor was able to come over here and have a great match, because it seems like he's been floundering a lot on the main roster. Like, they really don't know what to do with him, because he's really too small to be really considered a viable contender for anything.
At least on Raw.
And the only belt he's actually held has been the Universal belt, and he had to give it up like the next day on that Raw.
Less than a day.
Yeah.
Less than a day.
So
I actually kind of hope they just move Finn Balor to NXT UK. It would boost NXT UK. They wouldn't be losing anything on Raw.
Nope. And
Balor probably would enjoy himself more. I don't know if he would still continue to get his main roster pay. That would be a significant downfall on his point. But for me personally, I'd like to see Finn Balor take on Pete Dunne. Yeah. That would be a cool main event for the NXT UK takeover before Mania.
That would be
right,
cool.
but looks like they got some other plans for Pete Dunne. We'll get to that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the.
I just wanted to add that I'm not familiar with Jordan Devlin, but he seems like he's good at playing the heel role, and Shawn Michaels did give him some heavy praise. So this guy should be somebody to look out for in the future.
Well, I didn't start off liking Jordan Devlin. It took several weeks. In fact, it took all the way up until he faced Pete Dunne for the championship on NXT UK. And I finally started to get it. I really disliked him, but in the way that's good. You know, as a fan, like I want to punch him in the face.
You're supposed to not
like somebody beat him up.
Yeah.
No. At this point, I personally want to punch him in the face. I mean, as Jeff Meacham put it on the prediction show, yeah, but you know, you want to buy him a beer or buy him a drink afterwards. But still, yeah, you want to punch this guy in the face. But he's just that good at what he does, and I can appreciate that. But this match. Of course, we got Jordan Devlin's greatest hits. We got the Uranagi into the standing moonsault.
Yep.
We got the pull-up into the back body driver.
Always great. I love that move.
And I think the only reason I don't like the fact that we see these moves every match is because we don't have names for them. Give them names and, okay, do them every match. Jordan Devlin's greatest hits. It's kind of like he said the 6 moves of doom, only they're not done together. Although they are typically done in that order.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good spots in this move, but obviously Finn Balor is going to win.
Oh yeah, they weren't going to have Jordan Devlin, who's arguably the second biggest heel in like NXT UK right now, like pull off a win on Finn Balor. That it just wasn't going to happen.
Right. No, it doesn't make any sense. And Balor's the veteran, so.
Yeah.
Of course, it's natural that the guy with the experience is going to win. So
the only exception I've ever seen to anything like that was probably Fandango versus Jericho in his debut at WrestleMania, and Fandango coming out on top of that one.
Yeah, I don't think Jericho is ever going to live that down.
No.
Right.
But that's okay. He's got bigger and better things in the works.
Yep.
This match basically kind of goes back and forth. I mean, as you would assume it would. Jerry mentioned that it looked like Finn Balor was having more trouble with Devlin than you would think, and I'm like, well, he did train him, so if anybody knows how to, fight back against his style, it should be Devlin. But at one point, toward the end of the match, Devlin's on top. He goes for a moonsault, and that was his downfall. It gets countered with the knees. We've got Balor hits him with a brain buster, drop kick into the corner, sets him up perfectly, coup de grace, 1, 2, 3. This was Balor's match, of course. I thought even still we were going to get a Devlin loss. I thought Banks was going to win had they had their match, but I think we got a much better match.
That was a pleasant surprise, is what it was.
Oh, just for us? Of course, then again, you can also see Balor every Monday, but whatever. So at this point, #1 trend worldwide on Twitter is now not just Finn Balor, but NXT UK TakeOver.
Yes.
And that's going to stay on the screen for a little bit, because I guess that's what Balor does. He gets you trending.
Yep.
We show Luke Menzies in the crowd. We've seen him before, I think, on NXT.
Yeah.
Not yet on NXT UK. It looks like he's going to be making his debut soon. Again, not big on the guy's name. He does actually wear blood red trunks in the ring. And to do that and have your last name be Menzies, I'm just saying, there's colloquialisms that you need to worry about sometimes, and this is one of those. Like, if he came out with bright blue or bright, green trunks, okay, whatever. But no, they're blood red. Anyway, we get a video package for the next match, and the only reason I mentioned this video package was it was just brilliant.
Yes.
It basically took the last 2 video packages we got on episode 23 with Dave Mastiff, and 23 with Eddie Dennis.
Yeah.
24 was Dave Mastiff. They took those 2 promos, spliced them together really nicely, and gave me a fresh anticipation for this match. Not that I wasn't before. However, we don't get very far into the match, and suddenly I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Because this was a hashtag no DQ match.
Yeah.
However, at the first sign of them going outside, the ref joins them, and we're told on commentary that there is no rules and apparently no countouts. And I'm like, well, that's not a no DQ match. That's a no holds barred. There you go.
Yeah.
That's no holds barred. No DQ. There's still countouts. You can just do whatever you want until the 10 count. and do whatever you want in the ring. However, doesn't hold back from the fact that we got a really good match, especially out of two guys that are so big.
Yeah. It's very hard to keep a match going with like two big guys and keep it interesting, and I think that's why they had to more or less resort into putting it into a no DQ match. Aaron, what was your take on this one?
Well, I did enjoy it. So, am I the only one that got like a mini Vader vibe from Dave Mystique?
No.
With his costume,
because the black and red, plus he was like 2 fingers away from just doing the whole Vader symbol. So yeah, like he completely channels Leon White in that sense, in the fact that he's just full on Vader, especially with the red and black singlet and everything.
Now, Aaron. Yes. Since you're finally on the show, we get to ask you, what did you think about the camera work when Mastiff comes out and they give the camera that extra rumble when he takes those big steps?
I honestly don't even remember that. So there you go.
Well, hopefully they'll have him on the next pay-per-view and you can notice and appreciate the camera work. we think that's brilliant. They don't do it for every step like they did the first couple of times he came out, but now he's got these steps that he does to his music when those drums hit, and they definitely shake the camera when he gets into the ring. So I think that's fun. But the match itself, I mean, there was tables, there was chairs.
Kendo sticks.
Do what?
Kendo sticks.
Yes, kendo sticks, or Singapore canes, as Nigel called them.
Well, you can call them either one, but for this match, since Eddie Dennis used it as a weapon and everything, and he also used it for the White Russian leg sweep as Sandman used to do in ECW. So I thought that was really great. Kind of a harken back to that, especially since it was more or less a hardcore match.
Well, at some point, Eddie Dennis exposes the wood on the outside, and Jerry mentioned beautiful looking woodwork that they've got for the floor.
I did notice that, yeah.
I'm like, wow, look, that's beautiful flooring.
That'll come into play later.
It's a very nice venue too. I gotta say, like it looks very classy.
Yeah, absolutely, and the acoustics are brilliant.
Yeah.
But again, during the Gibson match, that doesn't help you because the crowd can be hurt. One person in crowds like that can yell out something and be hurt. Like that was one of the things that got us on the first few episodes. They were in the corn exchange, and there would be times where an individual would yell something out to be funny, and the crowd would just laugh with them, and you're like, oh, come on. Like, they're not even doing something humorous in the ring, you know, like, just totally takes away.
I did want to mention that I thought it was funny that they were making such a big deal. Like, this was an instant sellout, and I mean, it doesn't look like that big of a venue. It looks like maybe 1,000 people, and they're bragging about, oh, this was an instant sellout. I'm like, duh, if you cannot sell out a 1,000-seat building, then you got a problem on your hands.
That is true.
Yep.
I think even though Mastiff got the win here, Eddie Dennis still looked awesome.
Yeah,
he actually
that slam on the steel steps I thought was really impressive looking. I mean, both guys they made the most out of their size and strength, and I thought they meshed pretty well.
Well, since you mentioned the slam on the steps, it was like a swinging uranagi, and Eddie Dennis made sure to throw in a little bit of shaky knee in there.
Shaky knee in there, just to add for that added effect.
I liked it. I liked it.
We're pretty sure that was on purpose, not 100%. He might have really had shaky knees because Mastiff is quite hefty.
5'9", 320 some odd pounds. That's a low center of gravity. So yeah.
But he did manage to get Mastiff up for the 7th bridge at least twice. The first time he stopped short and he just dropped him with like a razor's edge bomb, and the second time Mastiff slipped out. This is the end of the match. This is where Mastiff counters. He ends up doing a German suplex towards the table that's still set up. Even Dennis had, what's his finisher called? The
next stop driver?
Yeah, he had the next stop driver a little bit earlier in the match and went for the pin, and I'm like, I know that's his finisher, but this isn't the end.
No.
The table is still set up. We still got a spot to get to. And It was a cannonball by Mastiff to a half-standing Eddie Dennis. Brilliant looking through the table.
Yep.
Completely demolished that table. He drags him back, pins him 1, 2, 3.
That table, you can tell that just had no give to it whatsoever. It was a lot thinner than the other tables too, or like, you know, size-wise. But at the same time, the impact on it was just brilliant. So
it was built for destruction.
Yes.
Coming away from this, I know one of your problems that you've had, Aaron, with NXT UK, you said, is they don't have a lot of people, or any people, that really stand out in a crowd. Now, what about this Eddie Dennis and Dave Mastiff?
Well, Dave Mastiff seems pretty short. I mean, he also kind of gives me a little bit of a Taz vibe, too. Like, maybe like a mesh of Vader and Taz. But, yeah, I mean, that might work against him. I mean, they do have very indie-like looks to them where, you know, everyone kind of has the same gear and they don't really have, like, elaborate costumes or, you know, charisma-wise, I mean, they don't really stand out a lot to me, but I mean, all of them are great workers, so, you know, they have that for them, and that's what the people watching these shows are looking for. You know, they're looking for the work rate, and they just want to see well-worked matches, and that's what they get. So, you know, the fans that watch it are happy.
One spot I forgot to mention for that match was Mastiff's, like, almost like that springboard moonsault thing that he tried to pull.
Oh, yeah. Wow. For a guy that size. Okay, so he's facing into the corner, and you've got Mastiff laying beside him. He's parallel to the ropes.
Yeah.
And he springs off of the bottom ropes in the corner, and then brings his legs up and does one of those springboard flip moonsaults, I guess.
Yeah. I was about to say, like, that's another, like, case where kind of like the Vader comparison can be made, since, like, Vader is pretty agile for a guy his size.
Yeah.
So
not that agile, damn. I mean, he missed it. He didn't hit the moonsault, but still, that looked brilliant.
Yeah, it looked great.
So after this match, now we get somebody in the crowd that, like, perplexes the hell out of me. Other than the fact that she is nicknamed the Queen, why is Charlotte Flair at NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool? The only thing I can think of, because there's only one other member of the main roster that's there. For some reason, she came with Finn Balor.
It's possible.
That's my only guess, but Charlotte Flair is there.
The Queen and the Demon King.
Any comments?
Well, she's got to scout out her potential future opponents that come up to the main roster eventually. You know, she's got to.
I didn't even think about that.
I really hope they leave NXT UK alone for a little while. Let them develop some of these people before snatching away people that we finally get some emotional investment in. But
speaking of emotional investment, who do we have next, Stefan?
Oh, actually, we have Kaylee Ray and Jazzy Gabbert in the crowd.
Yep.
Oh, so I guess we saw Charlotte Flair later. Oh, yeah, that's my bad, but whatever.
She was there.
So
she was there. She was on later, but she was there.
Coming soon to NXT UK, Kaylee Ray and Jazzy Gabbert. So there you go. But next, as you alluded to, we have Rhea, not Rhea. I don't know why I kept calling her Rhea.
Well, you got the H there, so I would think it would be Rhea too.
Rhea Ripley defending against Toni Storm, the NXT UK Women's Championship, and I am extremely disappointed. Guess why? Oh, we have a new champion, Toni Storm. What do you think about this match, Jerry?
It's pretty much everything I expected it to be. Like, there's a lot of animosity naturally from their last encounter, and they really haven't gotten their hands on each other since then. So there's a lot of chase at the beginning of it, which Rhea Ripley running away from Toni Storm kind of threw me a little bit.
Seems so unnatural, doesn't it?
Yeah, it didn't seem right. It
would have made more sense. She runs, halfway around the ring, gets back in. That's where you turn around and stomp on Toni Storm trying to get in the ring, That's just smart heel tactics. No, she continues and goes, runs back outside, trying to run from her. Yeah. Eventually, she ends up getting Toni Storm caught up in the ropes with her hair and does this just sick kick to the back of Toni's head. This is where she takes over. And soon thereafter, exactly what I called, a lot of rest holds.
Yeah.
By Rhea. A lot of rest holds. And it does get a little bit boring. But we have 100% Toni Storm, and she tends to make up for it here and there. She had some good spots. I could look for them. But this was a good match. We had a near fall kick out from both finishers.
Yep.
We had a finisher countering into other finishers. A couple of times toward the end, and then finally Storm counters the Riptide into a Storm Zero and actually pins her. And as soon as she hit that Storm Zero, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And immediately I had a frown. Man, I'm not happy that Toni Storm won, but the crowd was. Crowd loves Toni Storm. I guess it's Toni time. What'd you think about this match, Aaron?
I did think it was good. So I did want to mention that I feel like after that tag match, it was pretty difficult for anybody to follow it up. I mean, the other matches were good, but I mean, the tag match was on another level, and pretty much nobody could really follow it. I did want to mention I do like Rhea Ripley's look. I think she does stand out a little bit, and she's young too. I think they said she's 22.
Yep.
So she's got a lot of time. I think there's some real potential with her. She seems a little bit taller too than maybe even some of the male wrestlers. So she just looks the part of a wrestler. So I think she's got some potential, and Toni Storm definitely has some potential. And I'm glad that she was able to go out there, and it seemed like she was focused and on her game. That whole incident happened with the photos being leaked online. And
there was a move in there where Rhea had Toni Storm up for a delayed vertical. She holds on a little too tight to the tights. She almost did what the internet took a hacker to do and exposed Toni Storm right there. Just saying. It was noticeable. Anyway. Well,
that would have been bad. But yeah, I'm glad she was able to get through that, and good for her, She's able to continue being pushed. She did win at the Evolution pay-per-view. She won the Mae Young Classic, and her momentum continues. Now, the question is, what's next for her? I mean, for you guys, do you see a clear-cut opponent for her? Are they going to do a rematch with these two, or what do you think is going to happen next?
They're already building Jenny, who's a heel, up for a contendership, so she'll probably be next in line. If they don't find some way to fuck around with the whole no more rematch clause thing and somehow get Rhea Ripley another opportunity, but...
I know we talk about it a lot, but Rhea Ripley's inverted Texas Cloverleaf is still probably my new favorite finisher. So or favorite submission, even though she hasn't really had anybody tap out to it yet, that is just an awesome, nasty looking submission.
Well, as I said on the predictions video, when it comes to Toni Storm, what happened to her, at least it wasn't the first, and at least it wasn't the worst, because it was much worse for Paige. And look how she turned out. I mean, her career was fine after it. She didn't really have any repercussions, other than the fact that she was already injured and out for a while, so maybe she sat out all the heat. But either way, I mean, I didn't think it was going to affect her career. And obviously, I mean, she's got the championship, and she's a super baby face. They are pushing her hard. I pretty much knew she was going to win this going in because of the video package before it, because it really didn't build up Rhea any. It just built up this story of Toni Storm being the baby face chasing this, and, it's her dream, and basically the boyhood dream, only with a girl.
Yeah. Winning at Evolution, of course.
Yeah.
So after this is where they show Charlotte Flair in the crowd. But now we are on to the...
But that's actually, like Aaron just brought that up a little bit ago, that could be a good reason on why she was there in the first place, to see this...
see this match,
because it wouldn't shock me to see Rhea Ripley get moved up to the main roster not too long from now, especially with the... amount of female wrestlers they already have in NXT UK.
And they need some bodies for the Royal Rumble.
That is true.
Yep.
So I would love to see Rhea in the Royal Rumble, although I don't expect her to win at
Rhea
all.
Ripley Royal Rumble.
There you go.
4 hours.
So next is the main event. We've got Pete Dunne defending the WWE UK Championship against Joe Coffey. They make it pretty distinct that it's WWE, not NXT UK Championship, and I'm like, why can't they just call it the NXT UK Championship now? Like, it's the NXT UK Women's Championship, it's the NXT UK Tag Team Championships. Just figure it out, man. But otherwise, this was an awesome match.
This was everything I was hoping it was going to be and more, especially since the fact that it seemed like it was almost felt like it was an hour long, even though it was only maybe like 40 minutes.
Well, see, that's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, it was a little over 30 minutes, but to me, it felt too long. I felt like maybe if it was 5 minutes shorter, it would have been a little bit better. But I still enjoyed it a lot.
About 36 minutes, something like that.
There was one spot in the match that I thought may have been a botch, and that's
what
definitely.
I thought too. Is that when they were both on the top rope?
Yeah.
Is that what you're referring to? Like the first time Coffey went to the outside and Pete Dunne went into the inside, and then like a few minutes later, they went back up to the top
and
again.
Redid it.
Yeah. And I don't even know if they didn't botch it the second time, because if they executed it properly the second time, it still looked like a weird botch, because now they both dropped to the outside. Joe almost exactly like he did before, only this time Pete Dunne falls and kind of hits back first into the barricade.
Yeah.
And then he goes down, and then I guess they both just beat a 10 count back into the ring. Like,
right.
There was a lot of spots in this match that held it off, but I don't feel like there was a whole lot of spots that were like downtime, like rest holds and shit like that. They kept me interested pretty much for the entire 35, 36 minutes.
And I did like the sit out power bomb they did on the apron. That was pretty cool.
Oh my god!
That was probably my favorite part of the match. I did like that.
And I was so far into the match, you're already wondering what all these guys have left in them, and then sure enough, that comes out.
I felt like maybe it was too long because it's like, you know, it just keeps going and going and going and. I don't know. And there's also, I think Pete Dunne hit a bitter end, and then, like, the first thing I noticed was Coffey, like, lifting his trunks up. Instead of selling the move, he's, like, trying to adjust his tights. That was relatively amusing. Like, if you're selling a move, you're not going to be worried about your tights.
Well,
oh, God, Wedgie.
If you can give it a pass for the ladies, because they do that a lot, because a lot of their wardrobes require you being very tentative to where your waistline is.
Right.
So if we can excuse it for them, I think we can excuse it for this. I don't believe
it's that finishing move.
Well, he still kicked out. He kicked out of like 2 bitter ends at least.
Yep.
3. No, he kicked out of all 3 of them.
All 3 of them.
Or managed to get out in some form or I think the first one he rolled out to the apron.
Yeah.
And then that's where we got some apron spots. I think that's where he ended up pushing Pete Dunne into the ring post.
Yep.
Who hits the ring post but still remains on the apron, turns him around. That's where he does the power bomb. That was pretty fucking sweet. And you wouldn't think somebody would be able to execute a power bomb that perfect looking with that little space. But he did it very well. The end of this match comes, I mean, basically it was like a Japan match. A lot of near falls from finishers all the way up until the end. We got the kick out from the bitter end, but Pete Dunne seamlessly transitions that into his little arm lock where he gets the fingers and he cracks the fingers, pulls down on one, and then Joe immediately taps out.
So that's his submission finisher. He cracks his fingers and causes you to tap out.
Pretty much. But it goes with the story. You know, he works on those small joints and he works on the fingers throughout the match.
That or he'll actually just hit the bitter end. Usually the bitter end takes somebody out, but this time it took 3, and even then that didn't do the job.
And at one point, I think Joe actually does his own bitter end, only he kind of lands it and then drops a Uranagi instead.
Yeah.
And then I think that sets up for the next time he goes to do it. That's where Pete Dunne counters it into a DDT.
And I'd be remiss to not mention the part that I fanboy out in this match. The electric chair into a German suplex. Kreutz Wrath, if you will, by Kenny Omega. That was his old finisher. And for me to see that and for Joe to execute so perfectly on the Pete was just great.
Now, I thought this was a great match, even for as long as it was. But the best part of the match was after the 3 count, during the celebration. Well, what little celebration you get out of a guy as passive as Pete Dunne. But
they're wrapping the show. We got the graphics and everything.
I was wondering why we still had 5 minutes left at the end of the pinfall. I'm like, Pete Dunne's not going to celebrate for 5 minutes. Not like a Bailey win would, you know? So, Walter. We get the music, and as soon as I hear the music, I've never even heard it before, but I'm like, Walter.
We've heard so much buzz about Walter coming. We've heard nothing but Walter. Noah and Cindy. Walter.
And holy shit, want to talk about somebody that stands out in the crowd. This dude is big.
Mm-hmm.
And he is very serious looking, and I like that because they played up to that when he came out. They have not yet made Walter's intentions known, necessarily. But he did come out at the end of the WWE UK Championship match. He did face off with the champion, but he kind of just gets in the ring and acknowledges the title. At one point, Joe goes to get back in the ring and maybe do something, but he immediately kicks him in the face, knocks him back out of the ring. And then he goes back, and I guess as much of a sign of respect as you'll get from this situation, he throws his hands behind him and kind of just stands there.
And does his pose, more or less.
But then Pete Dunne does his pose with the belt in his teeth, and then Walter looks right at the belt.
Yep.
So I like this. We don't know if he's coming in as a heel or face or what. All we know is Walter finally
is here.
And it looks like he's going to be in line soon, if not eventually, for the WWE UK Championship. So I thought that was great. Crowd chants Walter like a crowd would chant Goldberg. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, nice ending, and it's a cliffhanger to get people to maybe tune in to the weekly television show to see what the follow-up is. But I have to say, like, Why doesn't Walter have a last name?
Just one of those things, man.
Well, that's how we feel about Lars Sullivan. He shouldn't have a last name. He should just be called Lars.
Edge didn't have a last name.
I know, but Walter's just, like a normal person's name, and I feel like he needs a last name. It just bugs me for some reason.
Or could we give him a nickname and pretend that's his first name or last name or something? Just one of those things they have in quotes.
Walter White.
You would love that, wouldn't you, sir?
I would like it. See, every time I think of his name, I think of Walter White, so maybe that's just me, but I think he needs a different name.
Knowing WWE, by the time he makes it to the main roster, he probably will have a different name.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
He's definitely physically imposing to a point where, granted, I know he didn't do as well as he should have in WWE, ECW, wherever he was at that point, but Vladimir Kozlov, he kind of gives off that vibe. I agree on that.
He's
got that size, he's got that presence, he's got that sternness to him, but he's got the poise of Regal at the same time. So it's one of these things where it's like, and you can tell from the buzz from the crowd that he's just so well established and such a major threat to Pete Dunne, and he does nothing in his match except for just come out,
walk to the ring.
It's like, go.
He kicks Joe.
Yeah, I mean, he kicked Joe. That was it.
Pretty good. So.
He kicked Coffee.
Yeah. So I'm guessing Walter's going to be the guy that finally beats Pete Dunne. I was a little surprised Pete Dunne retained the title because I was thinking maybe he would finally lose because they were making such a big deal out of him, being the champion for 600 days. I'm like, okay, they're making too big of a deal out of this. I feel like he's going to lose the title. 5
of the 6 of us on the predictions video picked Joe to win. We thought it was finally time for Pete Dunne to drop the title. Congratulations to James Hebert. He picked Pete Dunne, and
him and Noah Foster. Noah Foster.
Oh well, they tied predictions 2-2. We're not going to include the match where Balor was substituted. We figure everybody got it wrong because nobody could really predict that. And
right.
So yeah, James and Noah, congratulations you two for getting 2 picks right and tying, and the rest of us got 1 except good old Jerry here got 0.
I completely bombed out.
So, any final thoughts about the main event before we rate it? Gentlemen, Aaron.
I thought it was a very good main event, but I'm sticking with the tag match as my own personal match of the night. So if there's one match you're going to check out, I would check out the tag match. But, I mean, overall, the show was really solid. I thought it was going to be 2 hours, though. I was a little surprised that it went longer. Although, what are the NXT shows? Aren't those like 2.5 now?
Generally speaking, it's about a half hour per match.
Yeah.
Unless you get a match like Matt Riddle versus Cassius Ohno that's over in 7 seconds. But that match wasn't advertised for the show anyway, so we excuse that. Which does, by the way, make NXT TakeOver War Games a 5-match card, technically speaking.
Yep.
So we are to the end of the main event of the show, and around these parts, we actually rate the main event. Not the show in a whole, but just the final segment, in this case, the main event match. And we rate the match on a scale of 5 spots of tea. So 2.5, 3.35, or 3.75,
whatever.
That kind of thing. So, as our special guest, Mr. Aaron Rift. I can't believe you're on our show. Sorry. I got to fanboy out for a minute.
Just a little bit, yes.
So, out of 5 spots of tea, where would you rate this main event?
I think I would give it a pretty good 4.25.
That is really good.
That is good.
I think we're actually more critical of matches around here.
But this is also his introduction to the product, though, at the same time. And what a hell of a main event to actually start off with for that. So.
No, I was thinking we were going to end up agreeing with him, though, just because this really was. I mean, granted, it was pretty long, like Aaron mentioned. Probably the same as the 6-man tag didn't need to be as long as it was. But there wasn't a lot of downtime that made me think that they could have gotten rid of too much of the match and still had the same moves and everything. So I can excuse that and not take off any stars. Coming off of the back of what I thought was an amazing show, let alone being a pay-per-view, let alone being the first pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bump it up a quarter star. I'm going to agree with Aaron. I'm going to go 4.25.
Nice.
That sounds absolutely fair. Like, this match I already had high anticipation for, especially since Joe Coffey has been a main figure almost on every episode. We're 24 episodes into NXT UK, and good 3/4 of them ended with Joe Coffey either standing tall in the ring or victorious from a match. So for him to actually, he didn't lose any credibility in this match. If anything, he gained more by pushing Pete Dunne harder than anybody else has since we've seen
25 minutes plus. So.
Yes, and granted, there was that one botch in the match, but at the same time, who cares? But yeah, it made the minutes go by a little bit longer. Granted, but at the same time, they made up for it. Because after that, we still got that apron power bomb. After that, we still got reversal.
We still got the debut of Walter.
And we got the debut of Walter at the end of it. So 4.25 is more than reasonable. So, like, if anything, it would probably be a 4.5 if it hadn't had that botch. But it's like 4.25 is just perfect for it.
So we are in agreement for probably I think this is the third time on the show.
Yeah.
Everybody's agreed. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So,
very nice.
That comes to the end of the NXT party. So this is where we do our plugs. What would you like to plug, Aaron?
Oh, geez.
Everything.
First of all, Stefan, where's Tony Montana on your shirt? Just saying, you didn't get the memo.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Look at Stefan over there with Bernie Sanders.
We got Tony frickin' Montana.
Well, you know, the shirt was free with the donation, so.
Right.
I think this is the first time I've gotten an award. Where?
I guess speaking of shirts, you guys can go check out the No DQ shirts over at nodq.com/shirts. Buy a shirt! ! Did I do it right?
I believe so. Normally that's Tyler Smith's job, but
he's not here. So
I think you nailed it. You're probably a little rusty, but it was pretty good.
Oh, okay. All right, so I got a shirt right here. This the No DQ Galaxy shirt.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go.
That's
Pick one up over at nodq.com/shirts.
That's the sister shirt to the one that's got everybody's name on it from November.
Yep.
It's got our names on it. That was pretty cool.
Yep.
So thanks for that. So I have 2 shirts with my name on it. I'm a really lucky guy. Really lucky guy. So if you'd like to be up on the big screen on a future episode of the NXT party and join us for a spot of NXT, we'd love to have you. Just get a hold of me. You can find me at Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN. Or if you just want to look me up, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. The R stands for restricted. You can always find this gentleman on Twitter.
No DQ General, and also have my group on Facebook, Armbar, all capital, ARMBAR, exclamation point. And look up me or Stefan, or any other, like, members of the No DQ Galaxy that, like, you may see on the show, because I add them as I go along. So,
do you guys know your Rumble numbers?
Jerry gets Rumble numbers, and I do not because I was not in the group chat. But I figure there was 15 people, and Jerry probably would have been the one to get dropped off because he was the newest. So if I have to sacrifice Rumble numbers so my friend can have them, I will do that.
12 and 22.
You guys can share them. You guys can share them.
You can have 22 then. I'll take whatever the other number was.
12.
12. I'll take 12. That's cool.
All right. There we go.
I'm all right with that. Cut them in half, but hey, if one of them wins, one of them wins. You never know.
Yeah, but that's for both Rumble matches, so who knows?
So who knows? So, for the King of No DQ, Aaron Rift, for the General Jerry Slaughter, I am, of course, the
Wizard.
You got me. I am the Wizard of No DQ. I am the Rated R reviewer. I'm whatever you want to call me. I'm Stefan Osborne. And thanks for having a spot of NXT with us, and we will see you NXT time.
Cheerio.